Hello, I'm Claudia Pfeil from Germany. I'm happy to be here at AQS show in Des Moines. I really enjoyed every minute here. I have met so many nice and wonderful people, and I want to guide you through my quilt exhibit, the Silk Road Tour. I'm standing in front of my very first quilt. It is from 1985. And I haven't had rotary cutter and mat at this time, so I made the real traditional piecing, cutting, drawing thing at this time. After that I've done, I finished this for a while, and I came back to the patchwork and piecing project after I got my very first son in '92, and I studied textile designs at the local university. And while my examen, I had to weave. And I was forced to make sorry my funny English, and I don't know really the expressions. I had to weave on a shaft and, what's the name? I don't know. So I had to do this, and I made those fabrics. Those are my own designs, and they were laying in the drawers for several years. And I was getting a little bit bored because my son was so sweet and sleeping a lot. So I took them out and pieced them together. After getting this to a local sewing machine shop, they thought, oh yeah, can you please teach? We have so many interested people. I said, of course I can teach. I've made a quilt. So I start teaching. And half an hour before each class, I have tried it on my own, so self-confident face without knowing anything. So I tried several techniques, like this might be a peacemaker calendar. I hand quilted it. It is still out of cotton, and you might see the fabrics like Debbie Mom and Timbleberries that were very common at this time. And my students asked me, oh, where do we get fabrics from? I said, oh, no problem, I will order them. So I started to own a quilt shop. In between the years, this is from 1998. Meanwhile, I got a little bit more free motion cutting, and I was feeling more relaxed with the free cutting. And I made this quilt in 1998 after a picture of a building, Friedensreich Hundertwasser, a famous European architect who avoids in his buildings every single rectangle corner, and his roofs are always planted with weed and plants and trees. So if you Google Friedensreich Hundertwasser, you will find a lot of pictures of his famous buildings. In this quilt I found my love to batiks. I loved the icy colors. I think the pattern is corn and beans. And I had quilted this one. I was in hospital with my second son. So I remember that very well. Every quilt of my quilts exhibit has its own story. So that was in '99. I was a painter with acrylics and watercolor on paper, and I found my passion for painting with fabrics and later painting with threads. So this is a color wash. I used color wash squares and strip technique, and this is the last quilt before I stepped further to longarm quilting. I bought my longarm in March 2005, and we will step further to my very first quilt I've done on the APQS longarm machine. I was brave enough to send it after 6 weeks to an American quilt show in Kansas to be exhibited, and I was so happy and proud. And I really can recommend to enter to quilt shows because it's so amazing to see your quilts hanging and to get the judges' comments back, because it will help you to improve your skills. So it came back with a teacher's ribbon. I was so amazed and so proud. It's unbelievable. I have to say, I was getting a little bit hooked to get ribbons. So I stepped further into my skills. while my quilting periods, I have had several phases of design and fabric choices. So I'm calling this my Japanese phase. I was using Lesienne fabrics, and this pattern, for example, is from Jacqueline de Jonge. She made a bet with me. She normally uses very bright colors, and I told her I will do that pattern out of Japanese fabrics. And she told me, you can't do that. I said, I can do that, and I really love this quilt. And here's my own fabric line, Arabesque, produced by Benatex. And it is from 2008, 2009. And this is a present for my parents for their golden wedding. I used a handkerchief my mom used at their wedding at this time, and I gave that as a gift. And it was already out of silk, just out of silk. It is Thai silk, so my hometown is very famous for Thai production. So I used those cream Thai leftover to make the piecing. And I embellished it with ribbons I found in my stash. You never know. Go to a quilt show and buy whatever you love. You will never know when you need to have it. So yeah, this is, and my parents, I'm really grateful that they borrowed it to hang it here in the show. I have to give it back to them. Yeah. This is a group of 3 quilts. My friend Edith, who helps me in my quilt shop, she has pieced it, and she has a passion for Japanese fabrics and log cabin. As you can see, the log cabin is really small and tiny, and I'm her personal quilter. So we are entering those quilts in European shows. They haven't been seen in the US ever. So Edith is very proud to have me as her personal quilter, but I'm still doing customer quilts. I have a passion for Amish quilts. I love the piecing, and I love to have the space to quilt on it. And I'm a real fan of feathers. So opulent feathers, and it is really nice to quilt them on the Longarm machine. And those quilts I made out of silk, Dupioni silk. And if you want to work with Dupioni silk, you don't have to worry about anything. I don't make an underlaying or something. I'm using it like a normal fabric. I'm using a thinner needle, I'm using a thinner thread, but if I'm piecing my show quilts, we're coming later to, I'm using a little bit more seam allowance, and I don't carry it from A to B too much, because then it's fraying. That's all you have to think about using silk.